So at the end of part 1, which you can see right here, I showed you how to track video into this TV screen so that way it stays comped in that TV screen as the camera zooms in and out, as you can see right here. And then when you zoom in more, it looks like the video becomes its own thing on its own. But anyways, I explained that on the first tutorial, so I won't go into detail over that. Anyways, this second part is going to show you how to add a little bit of distortion and cool effects to fix some of the problems that happen when you transition from the video being the video and then the video getting comped into a screen, namely this warping that happens with the corner pin effect that we did in part 1. And the corner pin is because the video needs to match these corners of the TV, and the TV's at a slight angle, not straight on towards the camera, so that's why that effect is there. Anyways, first step towards fixing this is to go and pre-compose it, so layer pre-compose. Leave all attributes and effects too, and we'll call this bedroom layer because that's the video. That'll help us keep things separated there. And when I hit U, I can see that my keyframes are still there and all the effects are applied to this layer as a whole. So what we're going to do is go to this first set of keyframes right here and go into the bedroom layer composition. We're going to go up, make an adjustment layer, and we're going to hit Alt, begin bracket, and I'm going to go up to distort and turbulent displace. So this is going to kind of warp things around to hide the fact that the angle's changing up a bit. We're going to make our amount 25. We're going to Alt click on evolution and use the expression time times 60. And that's going to make the turbulent displace kind of warp around as the video goes on. So we're going to set a keyframe right there, and we're going to set it to 0. We're going to go back to FX2. Going to move forward here, and we have too many of these comps open, so I'll just get rid of that. So we're going to the second set of keyframes, opening up the bedroom layer, and now we're moved to where that set of keyframes would be. We're going to put another keyframe right there. I'm going to zoom in a bit and go to right between those two keyframes and make the amount 25. We're going to go right here, hit Alt and bracket to trim our adjustment layer. By trimming the adjustment layer, we're going to lower the amount of rendering time After Effects takes, and since it's 0 on both ends, we don't need any of the extra rendering time on either end. Anyways, when I scrub through here, you'll notice that the video warps a bit and then warps back, and it looks kind of weird here. But keep in mind, the effect is kind of showing what happens as you go through a window or go through a screen. When I play that back right here, it becomes much harder to see that the angle of the video changed a bit. So that's one quick way to hide it. And then the video continues on. Next thing you want to do, so let's name this the turbulent displacement. Just that way we know what it's called. We're going to make another layer, and it'll be the exact same length, so we'll just use this again. We're going to get rid of turbulent displacement in the second layer. We're going to add grain. I'm going to set the color to monochromatic, set the viewing mode to final output, and we're going to use these keyframes as a guide here. We're going to set the intensity for 0 at that end there, or I'm sorry, 1 at that end. Then 0 on the left end, 0 on the right end. So again, as we pass through the TV screen, we get a little bit of pixelation with the noise there, and then it goes back to normal. Now the next thing we're going to do is what I think really sells the effect, because it incorporates a real-world element. So if you've ever taken a camera and moved up towards a TV, or zoomed in on a TV with a camera, video camera, you probably noticed that you get some weird patterns going on. So I'm going to use this TV reference MOV, and let me show you those weird patterns I was talking about. And it works best when I put the resolution at its lowest. See these lines, how they kind of shift and move around and rotate and curve? Those are the patterns that happen when you zoom in on the pixels in your TV. And it's a real world phenomenon. I'm sure everybody's zoomed a camera in on a TV and noticed this. And if you incorporate that into this video, it actually helps sell the effect because, like I said, it's a real world phenomenon, and it'll really help sell that this is a real effect. So I keep saying the word real, but I mean, I can't drive that point home any harder. Okay, so the way I got this is actually using my camera with that computer zoom feature I talked about before. I just had Ryan, my actor, move out of the way, zoomed in all the way, and then zoomed out on the TV again. It's theoretically the exact same shot. And you can see it's just as I scrub past all it is. Scrub too far there. It's my TV right there, or Ryan's TV. So we're going to, and I just put a white image in the background using my PS3. Same way I put a green image back there. Okay, so we're going to find when the warping really starts to happen, and it's easier to see when it's at 0, like I said before. And I think right there is when it should begin. Okay, so I'm going to hit Alt again, bracket, move everything over. I'm going to set this transfer mode to multiply. So that's going to take all the white and make it transparent. So that way the black shows up. And you can see it's already got that TV quality on there right now. If I go back to FX2, I just play it back. As the camera zooms out, we get that really cool warping with the pixels right there. So it's actually covering up a little bit of the detail and getting rid of the color and tinting it green. So let's fix that a little bit. Let's restore some of that detail. So we're going to go into color correction curves and color correction tint. So the TV should look a little green because that's what happens when you film a TV with a camera. It looks green or yellow, but not this much. So let's make the tint about 80%. Or let's make it 66. There we go. And let's take the curves, make it contrast a little bit more so we get some more solid white and solid black. Just mess with that for a little bit. I think that's good. And then we're going to fade this on at the same time as all of our other effects. So opacity 0. Or set a keyframe for 100% there. Make the first one 0. And this is going to go above our turbulent displacement because these are the pixels on the screen itself. So if we go back to FX2, we're going to scrub through it here. And all that distortion happens. We see those pixel lines. I'm going to keep scrubbing forward. And you can see it's got that really cool pixel distortion going on that happens inside your TV. Let's go ahead and, whoop, not what we wanted, lower that a bit so it's not so harsh. We do want it to be a little softer. Okay, that's pretty much it. We're going to go back and fix one thing. When you zoom in, if you know a thing or two about cameras, when you're zoomed in all the way on, most lenses, you lose some light. The more expensive lenses let you have a wider f-stop the more zoomed in you are. Or prime lenses, where you don't zoom in at all, don't even have this problem. But basically, when we're zoomed in all the way, the image looks darker because of the way f-stops work and your iris and just the way the inner workings of the lens happen. I'm not going to go into detail, just know that that happens. So let's try to keep the exposure consistent here, and the way we're going to do that is with another adjustment layer, and we're going to call this one exposure. I just realized we forgot to rename our turbulent displacement 2 into static, because that's what we're emulating. So we're going to put exposure right on top of FX1. We're going to go to exposure, bump this up a bit. Let's try 2.5. Then going to take the opacity, and right about when we reach this point here, set it to 0. because that's about when our zoom ends. If we just play that back really quick, let's see if that looks consistent. Looks a little too bright, and then it gets darker here. So let's make this just 2. This will be a little bit of practice to see if we get it right. Okay, let's try 1.7. Always takes a little bit of practice. There we go. And then when you boost the light that much, you want to compensate by boosting some of the saturation here. So if we go to hue and saturation and just boost it up a bit there, get some of that skin tone back. Let's do about 15. Because you're stretching the light so much, you need to stretch the color to compensate. And then as it dials down on the opacity, let's make this 10. It looks more or less consistent. We'll add an easy right there so it doesn't look as abrupt. Then a couple of frames after that, we'll just end that entirely so we don't have any extra rendering time. Always like to cut down on that rendering time. Okay, so let's scrub ahead a little bit because we need to do something with our TV reference here. So if we let this TV reference footage play out too much, you know, remember how I said I zoomed out on a TV? If we let it play out too much, then we'll actually see the TV peek into the frame, and we don't want that. Right around there. We don't need that. So let's go to right about where we last see those lines, which is in that area, and let's freeze frame it. We're going to go to time. Oops, if we have the layer selected, time. Time remapping. Going to set a keyframe for that point, copy it, go to the end, paste it. So from this point to this point, it's just going to show the same frame of that footage. So let's go back into FX2. Look at the whole thing. Got a nice little warp there. And it looks good comped in there. And I'm pretty convinced that that's a TV. It's got a lot of things working for it, and specifically that TV reference layer is really helping to sell the effect. So this would be where I end it this time. If you were just trying to make it look like someone was watching a TV show inside of their flat screen TV, congratulations, you're done. But if you wanted to go and make it look like they're playing a video game like we did in the video, you have a couple more steps to go. But I'm already reaching about 13 minutes on my watch here, so in the interest of time, I'll be making a part 3 to this video where I'll be making heads-up displays. Like I said, if you're doing video games, feel free to watch it. If it's just TV or a movie that you're comping in there, congratulations, you're done. So, that said, you can find that video on our YouTube page, youtube.com/hyperdrivepictures. Hyperdrive Pics in the URL, and you can find links to our Facebook and Twitter page. There's also the subscribe button if you found this tutorial helpful or you liked any of our other videos. Please really consider subscribing. It helps us out a lot. And you get to see our content as it comes out. And yeah, so we've got a couple videos there, and we'll upload a part 3 to this tutorial next week. Normally we do narrative videos like pointless zooming, locked and loaded, paranormal activity, but since all of our cast and crew are home for the holidays, we are taking a break and I'm just uploading these tutorials instead. So thanks again for watching. I hope you found this helpful, and I'll see you guys next week.